These little white creatures, little white specks you see here in this worm compost are springtails. Springtails are very common in worm beds. If you look carefully, you might see some of them moving, albeit kind of slowly, like this one in the center there. Yeah, they're moving. I've got this camera zoomed in as tight as it will focus on these. These little guys, at their largest, are only like 6 millimeters or 0.24 inches in size. And the ones I'm looking at aren't even that big. They're really just little specks. I'm zoomed in on them to make them look larger. Let me zoom out to give you a perspective. That's what you would normally see. Most people see this and they have no idea what it is because they just look like little white specks. And sometimes you get lots of them, like right here. And listen, any worm bed is an ecology. There's going to be living creatures. If there's not, there's probably something wrong with your worm bed. Now, you don't really have to worry about springtails. Springtails don't harm the worms, and they coexist rather nicely, and they don't hurt your garden plants either. Not the species that at least you find in worm beds. In some places, these are thicker. Now, you can control these and get rid of the worms. See there? He's got some springtails hitchhiking on his back. And here's another worm. It's kind of cold out here, so things are not moving around as fast as normal. There's a worm. There's a bunch of springtails all gathered up. Why are they gathered on the side? Because it's moisture. Why are they gathered down here more toward the bottom? Because the moisture down here at the bottom where this is slanted down is higher. Springtails like moisture. Springtails are also known as columbola. They're the largest of 3 lineages of hexapods, and are not considered insects. And you don't directly compare them to insects because they're so different. For example, if I put lime in here, I use not just garden. Don't use garden lime. Watch my videos about how I control insects with Dolomite, pure crushed Dolomite. I get brain locked sometimes. I've mentioned that many times in many of my videos. Pure crushed Dolomite is a great way to control insects, but it does not affect these guys. These guys are not an insect, like I said. And if you want to get rid of these, what you do is let your beds dry out. Now, worms like a little moisture, but as the top of the bed dries out, typically the worms will dive down to the moisture layers and they'll be okay, and these guys will kind of die out at the top. That's one way to keep the population down if you decide to do that. The cool thing I've noticed is that since I've had springtails, I don't really have mites in my bed. Now, some people tell me they have both, and it's said that mites will prey on springtails. And I've often, but that said, I don't see both together. Now, that may be because I use the lime, and maybe the lime's controlling mites, but mites aren't insects either. So I'm not sure that that's the answer, but that's just been my case, and since the springtails showed up, the mites seemed to go away, and so I was kind of happy to have the springtails myself. So, that said, there's 4 orders of columbola. There's Nephoma, Podumorphia, let's see how you say, Symphyllona, and Intromorphia. I don't know, guys. I can't say all these words. I don't know how they're pronounced. But there's 4 orders. I think the last order is probably what these are part of. But what happens is they're called springtails because they have more body parts than an actual insect, and they can actually put a spring tension into their abdomen, and they can, if they're feel threatened, they can actually spring out. They can jump, kind of like a flea, but they're much smaller than fleas. These are just specks, guys, just little specks. There are some that are herbivorous. The herbivorous ones, the herbivorous species basically break up plant matter, decayed plant matter. And that's actually thought to be beneficial for microbes and fungi. The microbes and fungi are thought to the beneficial microbes that further break down plant matter are thought to benefit from that, as do these guys, the worms. This guy crawling along. They benefit actually from the springtails doing their job. So I think they have a happy symbiosis symbiosis. Yeah, whatever. Symbiosis here. So that said, there are some coniferous ones, but the coniferous ones eat rotifers, which are just tiny little microscopic animals, not worms, rotifers, nematodes, which are often considered a pest, and other columbolan species, or other springtail species. So, in short, springtails, I wouldn't worry about them, guys. I wouldn't worry about them at all. I've had them out here for several years, and they gave me no problems. I've used this compost in my beds. My plants grow like crazy in it, and so I have no problem whatsoever with the springtail. So I don't even have any interest in really trying to control them, because I think they work well with my worms. But if I did want to control them, I'd just dry the bed out, because they love moisture. So there you go. That's it in a nutshell. That's what they are. So don't worry about them if you got them. And if you do have them, I've told you how to control them. I've told you that the normal insect control methods don't work, but drying the bed out usually does. Also, they kind of float on water, but you don't want to use water for the control, because that's what they like, is moisture. So with that said, all I'm going to say is don't worry about the springtails, and thank you for watching. Oh yeah, buy the worms. Buy worms. Go to greengregs.com and buy worms. Greg out.